Today I'm showing you how to crochet a men's sweater. I chose a stitch in my opinion is very masculine looking. It's called herringbone double crochet. But if you don't like how it looks or you think it might be hard for you, you can replace it with regular double crochet. This video is made specifically for advanced beginners, so you need to know how to make a single crochet, a double crochet, and how to slip stitch to join seams. Don't worry if you're just starting out, I linked tutorials on how to do them right here. Click this button on the top right corner, then you can see all of them. If you already know how to do the stitches, this tutorial should be easy for you. I also have complete beginner tutorials that you can check out on my channel page. So here's what you need to make this sweater. So this is the yarn I'm going to be using. This is 4 Seasons Marvel and it is 100% acrylic. You can probably only get this in Australia, so if you want to use a similar yarn, choose something 8-ply. So this yarn calls for a 4mm crochet hook, but I'm going to size up to 4.5mm. This is actually my first time trying to crochet a men's sweater, so I'm gonna need some reference and I suggest you do the same. I'm gonna grab a sweater that I know would fit the person I'm making this sweater for. So this sweater is an XL and the one I'm making is gonna be a little bit bigger than this. So the first thing we need to look at is the width of the sweater. So what you're looking at right now is the back panel. It's just a big piece of rectangle with a ribbing here, and this is where we're going to start our panel from the ribbing. So we're going to begin with a slip knot, insert your hook, and chain up 11. This is gonna be the thickness of the bottom ribbing, so chain more if you want your ribbing to be thicker. But I'm gonna chain 11. In the second chain from the hook 1, 2, turn your chain and find its back loop, insert your hook and make a single crochet. Then you have 2 vertical loops here, insert your hook in the left one and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So this is gonna be how I make my first double crochet of each row. And then in the next chain, back loop, make a double crochet, back loop next chain, 1 double crochet, so just work 1 double crochet in the back loop of each chain all the way to the end. And you should have 10 stitches, 10 double crochets. This is the first one. And then the next row is what we're going to repeat for the ribbing. So turn your work, insert your hook in the first stitch, back loop only, pull up a loop, make a single crochet. Then just like before, we have 2 vertical loops. Insert your hook in the left one and make a single crochet. So pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And then from the next stitch, work 1 double crochet in the back loop of each stitch. If you've never worked your first double crochet like this before, it might be a bit tricky for you to find the first stitch to work into. So that is the first stitch. And to this row, this is the last stitch we should work into. So just in this back loop here, work your last double crochet. Double check your stitch count. You should have 10 stitches for each row. And then, like I said before, this is the row we're going to repeat. So turn your work. In the back loop of the first stitch, work a single crochet. Then in the left vertical loop, make another single crochet. This as the first double crochet. And then from the next stitch, work one double crochet in the back loop of each stitch. So I'm just gonna keep repeating this row and do 44 rows for the ribbing. So I made my ribbing about 25 inches. So I've done 44 rows. That's one row, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is row 44, last stitch. And then chain 1. Next, we're going to work one row of single crochets along this edge. And we're going to work 2 single crochets for each double crochet row. So work your first single crochet on this edge. So this is the first one. You can choose to mark it. And then work a second one here. So that's 2 single crochets for this first row. And then the first single crochet of the second row, I'm going to insert like this and a single crochet. And the next single crochet here. So 2 single crochets for each row, 4 single crochets for 2 rows. Continue working single crochets like this. I'll see you at the end of the row. So this is the last row. So because I have 44 double crochet rows and I worked 2 single crochet in each row, so I should have 88 single crochet stitches for this row. So I'm gonna double check from this first stitch. Okay, so I do have 88 stitches. That means I didn't make a mistake, which is good. Then you're gonna turn your work. We're gonna begin the main pattern of this sweater. So the stitch we're gonna be using is called herringbone double crochet stitch. So the next row is the first row of the pattern. So we're still going to make the first double crochet in the same way, but we're going to insert in both loops. And make a single crochet first, insert in the left loop, and make another single crochet. So the actual herringbone double crochet begins from the next stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then we're going to pull the first loop through the second one. And it's not easy for you to just pull it through like that unless you've done something like this before. It's hard to do because the first loop and the second loop are connected. So what I do to help is pinch the second loop like this, and then I can pull the first loop through. And once you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 1, and yarn over, pull through 2. Forgot to mention this, you might want to mark your first double crochet, especially if you're not good at telling your stitches apart. In the next stitch, let's do that again. Yarn over, pull up a loop in the next stitch, and then pinch the second loop, pull the first loop through the second one. Once you have 2 loops on your hook, pull through 1 and pull through 2. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull first one through the second one, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So this stitch is all you're going to do for the rest of the row. Yarn over, pull up a loop, pull the first one through the second one, pull through 1, pull through 2. So continue working like this, and you're just going to keep repeating this one row. I'll see you at the end of this row and we'll begin the next row together. So work your stitches all the way to the last stitch. Even without the stitch marker, you can probably tell that's the first single crochet. So just work your last stitch in it. And then turn your work again. Like I said before, we're just going to repeat this one row. So only the first stitch is different. We're going to work our first stitch. And again, you might want to mark this stitch if you're not sure if you can find it when you come back. And then from the second stitch all the way to the end, we're just going to repeat this herringbone double crochet stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop from the next stitch, pull the first loop through the second one, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, just like before. Okay, so just keep repeating this row to work the back panel. And for the height of the panel, I'm going to refer to the measurement of this sweater again. So the height of the panel is going to be from the very bottom of the sweater all the way to this shoulder here. As you can see, the shoulder of this sweater had some shaping, but I'm just going to take the highest point here. Not here, but here. So go ahead and keep repeating this row. And for the back panel, I did 56 herringbone double crochet rows, not counting the first single crochet row. And the measurement of that is almost 28 inches. So at the end of row 56, finish my last stitch. Chain 1, cut this yarn and pull it through. So this is the back panel and this is the front one. I've done 50 rows for it so far, so that means I still have 6 rows left. And we're going to shape the neckline at these 6 rows. So because I recently just did a sweater like this, so I know my stitch count, I'm going to pull the front panel up like this, and I'm going to mark out the center 22 stitches of the front panel and the center 22 stitches of the back panel. So because I have 88 stitches across and these are the center 22 stitches, I should have 33 stitches here and 33 stitches here. And when I marked the stitch, I didn't put the stitch marker in any of the stitches. I put it between 2 stitches. So from here to here is the center 22 stitches. And I'm going to do the same for the front panel. So now I've got 22 stitches here and 22 stitches here as well. And next we're just going to pinch these 2 points together and make sure the person's head can fit through this hole. If you think this might be a bit small, you can move the stitch markers by 1 stitch at a time. So I would move this and this 1 stitch to the left, and these two 1 stitch to the right, and then see if it's big enough. And if it's still too small, you're going to move them 1 stitch away from the center again, and you're going to keep doing this until this hole is big enough. So I'm going to leave it at 22 stitches here. So before we shape the neckline, we would have 44 stitches altogether. But after we shape the neckline, it's going to be like this. So even though this is a men's sweater, I can still use my head circumference because, like I said, the finished neckline is going to be bigger than this. So now we can put away the back panel for now. And I'm going to continue working row 51 all the way to the first stitch marker. So as you can see, I am 1 stitch before the stitch marker. I'm going to continue working. Three stitches past the stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3. Continue working your herringbone double crochet stitch. Number 3. And next we're going to do a herringbone double crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches. And to do that, yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull the first loop through the second one, and then yarn over, pull through 1, leaving 2 loops on our hook. And then we're going to yarn over, go straight in the next stitch, pull up a loop, again pull the first loop through the second one, yarn over, pull through 1 loop. So now I have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all. So that is a herringbone double crochet 2 together. And then we're just going to work 1 more herringbone double crochet in the next stitch. So this is 1 shoulder, and then we're going to turn to begin the next row. We're going to make our first double crochet in the first stitch. And then a herringbone double crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull loop 1 through loop 2, and then pull through 1. Yarn over, in the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull the first one through the second, and yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3. And then from here, you're going to work 1 herringbone double crochet in each stitch to the end of the row, and then you're going to turn, begin your next row as usual, no decrease, just 1 herringbone double crochet in each stitch, all the way back here. I'll see you around here. So I've finished row 52 and started row 53. And when I have 3 stitches left, 1, 2, 3, this is 1 stitch. So when I have 3 stitches left, I'm going to do a double crochet 2 together again. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, pull the first one through the second one, yarn over, pull through 1 again, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, pull first one through the second one, yarn over, pull through one, and then with 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 3, and then work one last herringbone in the last stitch, and then again turn. This is row 54. It is the same as row 52. So the pattern is begin your first stitch as usual, and then work a herringbone double crochet 2 together, yarn over, pull through 1, leaving 2 loops, go straight in the next stitch, herringbone, yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 3. And then from here, 1 herringbone double crochet in each stitch. And when I finish this row, row 54, I'm going to work 2 more rows, 55 and 56. And 55 and 56 would be the same as 53 and 54. So just repeat these 2 rows again. So I've done 2 more rows here. This is row 56. When you fasten off, leave a long tail, so later we can join with the back panel at the shoulder seam. I left about 3 meters. So for the other shoulder, we're going to join our yarn 6 stitches to the right of the stitch marker. So that's the stitch marker, that's the first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Insert your hook in that stitch and attach your yarn. And when I work my stitches, I'm going to carry this end so I don't have to fasten it off later. In the same stitch, work the first single crochet as usual. And then we're going to do a herringbone double crochet 2 together. Just like before. And then 1 herringbone in each stitch. Go ahead and finish this row, begin your next one, and I'll see you here. And just like the other side, when you are working towards the center of the panel, when you have 3 stitches left, work a herringbone double crochet 2 together. And then end this row with a herringbone double crochet. And then turn your work. And when you're working towards the side, begin your first double crochet as usual. And then a herringbone double crochet 2 together. And then 1 herringbone in each stitch. So this is row 51, 52, 53. When you finish this row, just keep repeating row 52 and 53 and do 3 more rows, so you would have a total of 6 rows here, just like on the other side. So this is the last row, a decrease, and 1 last stitch. Chain 1, fasten off, leave a long tail. And the front panel is done. So once you're done with the front and the back panel, we're going to go ahead and make the sleeves. I've already started one of them. It's not done yet, but I'm just going to show you how to do it now. So as you can see, this is the cuff. Just like how we started the panels, we're going to do the same thing for the cuff. So I chain 11 as well and begin working my double crochet rows, back loop only. And instead of doing 44 rows like the panel, I did 18 rows. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8. And as soon as I finished my last double crochet row, I chained one and worked 2 single crochets on the edge of each double crochet row, just like before. So 2 single crochets for each row. I've got 18 rows, so that is 36 single crochets here. So far, the difference between the sleeve and the panel is the width. The second difference would be for a panel, we just go straight up. There is no increase. But as you can see for sleeve, we're going to do some increase here, so the sleeve becomes gradually wider. I did this one with 2 increase rates, meaning at the beginning I increased pretty fast, and after a number of rows, I started increase gradually. So for the first 8 herringbone double crochet rows, we're going to alternate between an increase row and a regular row. So the increase row means we're going to do some increase. Regular row just means 1 double crochet in each stitch. So turn your work. Our first row is going to be an increase row. I marked the first single crochet here, so I know that's the last stitch I should work into. So the pattern of an increase row is always the same. We're going to work 2 herringbone double crochet stitch in the first stitch and 2 herringbone double crochet stitch in the last stitch. And for the rest of the stitches, just 1 herringbone in each stitch. So in the very first stitch, I'm going to make the first double crochet. And like I said, in the same stitch, we're going to increase. So I'm going to work 1 herringbone in the same stitch. And from the next stitch, 1 herringbone in each stitch. And in the last stitch, we're going to work 2 herringbone as well. So that is an increase row. Turn your work. And like I said, we're going to alternate between an increase row and a regular row. So this row 2 is the regular row. For a regular row, we're just going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch. So that is the first double crochet. The next herringbone double crochet is worked in the next stitch. At the end of the row, 1 herringbone in that last stitch as well. So that is the repeat pattern. 1 increase row, 1 regular row. So that's the first 2 rows. Next, we're going to repeat these 2 rows 3 more times. So we're going to do 1 increase, 1 regular, increase, regular, increase, regular, making it a total of 8 rows. Okay, so I've got 8 rows here. Just to clarify, there's no specific reason why I did 8 rows instead of 6 or 10. So if you think you need more stitches around the forearm, you can do 2 more rows like this. So after 8 rows, I'm going to do the increase more gradually. So we're going to do the increase row less often. Instead of doing it every other row, we're going to do 1 increase and 3 regulars. So the next row is an increase row. The increase pattern is the same. 2 herringbone in the first stitch, 2 herringbone in the last stitch, and then in between 1 herringbone in each stitch. And after that increase row, do 3 regular rows. So you would have 4 rows here, and then you're just going to keep repeating those 4 rows to make up the sleeve. And as you can see, the increase becomes less gradual. So this edge is not that steep anymore. So this is the sleeve. I did 2 of them. So after the first 8 rows, I did an increase row here, 3 regular rows, 1, 2, 3. So that's a pattern. Once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I did that pattern 9 times. And if you don't think it's long enough, you can continue increasing like that. And that is the sleeve. So you do 2 of them. So now we have a front panel, a back panel, and 2 sleeves. So like I said before, I recently just did a sweater like this. So I'm just gonna walk you through how to slip stitch the pieces together. But if you don't know how to slip stitch to join, I showed you step by step how to do it in this video. I'll link it up here. But I'm going to quickly walk you through it. So first we're going to join the shoulders from the wrong side. We don't have a right side or wrong side yet, so you can do it from either side. But you just want to make sure the front panel and the back panel is consistent. Like this is not consistent. But if you flip it like this, as you can see, they just line up. So I'm going to use this as the right side. That's going to be the wrong side. So that means I'm going to flip the panels inside out and join the panels from this side. So just join them at the shoulder seam. So just work 1 slip stitch in each stitch. And after that, you're going to join the sleeves as well. So you just line the center of the sleeve to the shoulder seam. So line them up and join from here to here. So the last row of my sleeves got 62 stitches. Half of it is 31 stitches. And every 2 herringbone double crochet rows equals 3 stitches on the sleeve edge. So I'm going to join half of the sleeve, which is 31 stitches, to roughly 21 rows of each panel. And we're still doing this from the wrong side of the sweater so far. So join the shoulders and the sleeve. Then you would have something like this. So like this, okay? And then what you have left is the side seam and the undersleeve. Again, from the wrong side, work 1 slip stitch in each stitch, 3 slip stitches for every 2 herringbone double crochet rows. So keep joining to here and then continue with the sleeves. And 1 slip stitch in each stitch for the cuff as well. So when you finished joining everything, turn your sweater inside out. As you can see, this is the seam. This is the right side of the sweater. Next, we're going to do the neckline ribbing. So remember, we marked out the center 22 stitches of the panel, which is from this to this. And then you're going to find the center 2 stitches, attach your yarn to the left one, to the center of the back panel, and we're going to work 1 round of single crochet around the neckline. So attach your yarn and chain 1. In the same stitch, work a single crochet, and then just continue working one single crochet in each stitch all the way to the stitch before the stitch marker, one single crochet, and then turn to the front side of the sweater. So on this edge, we're gonna work 4 single crochets for every 2 herringbone double crochet rows. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So like that. So remember, we have 6 rows here. We worked 4 single crochets for these 2, and then you're just gonna continue working like that, 4 single crochets for these 2 rows and 4 single crochets for these 2, and then turn to the front. That stitch is already worked in, so work 1 single crochet from this stitch in each stitch to this one, and then work 4 single crochets for these 2 rows, 4 here, 4 here, and then turn to the back side, 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way to the beginning of the round. So this is the last stitch, a single crochet, and then slip stitch in the first single crochet. Okay, so for the neckline ribbing, we're going to use back loop single crochets. So we're going to work single crochet rows like this, just around this edge. I'm going to chain 11. This is going to be the thickness of the neckline ribbing. And then in the second chain from the hook, 1, 2, turn your chain to the back, insert your hook in the back loop of that second chain, and make a single crochet. And then from there, work 1 single crochet in the back loop of each chain. This is the last one. And now we should have 10 single crochets. Okay, so every time we work our way back in this direction towards this edge, we're going to slip stitch twice. So slip stitch in the next stitch, that's once, and then in the next stitch, slip stitch again. So slip stitch twice, and then you're going to directly turn. And then skip the first 2 chains, that's the 2 slip stitches. The third one is a single crochet. So in that first single crochet, insert your hook in the back loop only and make a single crochet. And then from the next stitch, work 1 single crochet in the back loop of each stitch. Last stitch. When you reach this end, you just chain 1 and turn. And then from the first single crochet, work 1 single crochet in the back loop of each stitch. all the way to the end. And then you should have 10 single crochets again. And remember what I said before, when you come back to this edge, slip stitch twice. As you can see, that stitch is already worked in, so that is the next stitch. So slip stitch once and twice and turn your work. Skip the 2 slip stitches. In the next stitch, in this first single crochet, begin working back loop single crochets, 1 in each stitch. And then when you get to the end of the row, chain 1 and turn again. From the first single crochet, 1 single crochet in each stitch. So you're going to continue working back and forth like this around this edge. So I finished my last row and now I'm going to slip stitch in this last stitch. If you are on the other side when you finish your last row, that's okay too. But either way, we're just going to join the last row to the first from the wrong side of the sweater. Okay, so I'm just going to slip stitch these together. I'm going to find the first stitch from this side, which is the 10th stitch from this one. Insert my hook in both loops. And the first stitch on the other side is this one. For this side, I'm going to insert in the back loop only. And then make a slip stitch. Next stitch, both loops. Other side, back loop only, slip stitch. Continue doing this, work 1 slip stitch in each stitch. By the way, this is also how we joined the hem and the cuff. Last stitch, chain 1 and fasten off. So I'm just gonna cut this yarn, pull it through, and then I'm gonna use a yarn needle and just thread this end through the stitches to fasten off. And you're going to do that for the rest of the yarn tails as well. And that is the neckline. And then our sweater is done.